You wake before light, in a room that never truly knows it. Stone sweats in the dark, the air smells of fear, old oil, and iron. A shackle gnaws your ankle raw. Bruises bloom like cruel flowers along your ribs, new colors over old. From somewhere above comes laughter, the bright, careless kind that makes your stomach clench. You reach for the thin tunic in the corner, hands shaking, because the scrape of a bolt and the thud of sandals on marble mean only one thing. The overseer is coming. The door opens. Sun knifes in. His silhouette fills the frame muscle, scars, a voice made of gravel. "Clean yourself," he says, tossing a damp cloth that lands at your feet. The master has guests. His eyes move over you like a trader at market, measuring, pricing. 15 years, though you stopped counting. Time became a length of chain the day they brought you here. They told you it began with numbers, but numbers have hands. In the valley where you were born, a year of merciless sky burned the barley to straw and shriveled the olives on ancient trees. The goats were sold first, then the copper bracelets your mother kept in a box, stitched with her own mother's hair. After that, came the debts, silver scratches in a ledger that meant nothing to you, until men with quiet voices and coiled ropes rode into the village. They offered contracts as if they were lifelines, 20 years of service for enough coin to keep a family through winter. An opportunity, they called it. You'll learn skills, they promised. Your father would not meet your eyes. Your mother's hands did not let go. Or perhaps it wasn't drought, but war. Raiders slipping through passes at dawn, smoke rising where grain once stood, boys judged not by what they had done, but by what they might endure. Perhaps it was something simpler and crueler, beauty noticed by the wrong eyes. In a world that praised harmony and proportion, a child's face could become currency. The philosophers wrote, a virtue. The city boasted of law. But behind every marble column lay rooms like this one, where those virtues found their price. You learned quickly that hope is a door with no handle on your side. The house is grand painted walls, floors of tessellated stone, a courtyard where fountains whisper, but its beauty is a mask. Beneath it run corridors of obedience, a grammar of orders and punishments. You will serve, the overseer repeats each morning, as if the words themselves could remake a person into property. Above, voices rehearse speeches about justice and good government. Below, you count breaths and bruises. The overseer turns. Guests, he says again, meaning danger dressed as celebration. You wash in cold water that smells of copper, pull the tunic over tender skin, and stand straight because trembling is noticed. Somewhere, a lyre is being tuned. Somewhere, a door is closing. The journey begins not with a march, but with the clink of iron. They fasten collars to necks and link boys into one long, stumbling procession. The merchants call it order. To you it feels like being woven into a chain that stretches to eternity. The older ones walk with their heads lowered, silent, having already learned that words waste breath. The younger ones sob until the overseers strike them quiet. The road winds through landscapes that might have been beautiful had you been free. Rolling hills dotted with olive groves, sea glittering like shards of glass, mountain passes where eagles ride the wind. But beauty fades behind hunger, thirst, and the burn of sun on raw skin. Your world shrinks to the boy in front of you, the rattle of chain at your throat, and the rhythm of feet on stone. Each night, they drive stakes into the earth and fasten you like animals to the ground. You lie in dirt, listening to muffled crying, wishing the stars could carry your voice back to the valley you lost. Along the way, strangers sometimes come. Men in fine robes who smell of wine and oil. They prod shoulders, inspect teeth, turn faces side to side, as if judging livestock. You learn to tell what kind of buyer they are. Some seek muscle for the fields, others obedience for kitchens. But the ones you fear most linger too long when they look at you. They smile, as though they already own the hours of your nights. Then Athens rises, white and gleaming in the distance. At its heart sprawls the agora, a market not just for olives and pottery, but for people. The noise strikes you first, shouts of haggling, commands barked, cries muffled by whips. Then the smell, sweat, fear, and the metallic tang of coins changing hands. Bodies are arranged in rows like amphorae for sale children clinging to mothers. Old men bent by years of toil, young girls trembling under the eyes of buyers. They strip you, scrub you, oil your skin until it gleams. Not kindness merchandise fetches more if polished. On the platform, you stand frozen, while the auctioneer's voice rings out, listing your age, your origin, the qualities of your body. Hands pry your mouth open, fingers test your grip, another ruffles your hair like a horse's mane. Laughter rises when you flinch. You are no longer a son, no longer a boy from a valley of withered barley, you are a price climbing higher with each bid. The hammer falls. A man named Lysander smiles as he counts out silver. Silk wraps his frame, his fingers glitter with rings, his eyes claim you before his coins have even touched the auctioneer's hand. Athens applauds its democracy in the daylight, but in this square you have been purchased, not as a citizen, not even as a person, but as entertainment waiting to be unwrapped. Lysander's home rises like a palace above the noisy streets of Athens, its marble columns painted in vivid colors, its floors glittering with mosaics of gods and heroes. To a stranger, it might look like the height of civilization. To you, dragged past the threshold by a rope around your neck, it is a theater of illusions. Beauty is the mask, cruelty is the play performed within. The man who receives you is Demetrius, the overseer. He once wore chains like yours, and his scars whisper stories of what it takes to climb from victim to enforcer. He is sharp-eyed, every gesture honed by years of breaking others before they can break him. His voice carries the weight of law. You will eat when ordered, speak when spoken to, bathe when commanded. You will never meet the gaze of the free. You will never refuse an order. You are here to serve in every capacity required. He smiles when he says every, and you know he means more than pouring wine. Your quarters lie beneath the house, carved from stone to muffle sound. Each cell contains straw, a threadbare blanket, a pot in the corner. The walls are damp, the air heavy. Here, the laughter from above is faint, distorted, as though the world of the free and the world of the chained are divided by more than stone. The other slaves welcome you with wary eyes. Marcus, close to your age, limps from an early punishment. He whispers warnings about rules you must never break. Alexios, older, his back a lattice of scars, mutters that the house feeds itself on despair. And Philemon, barely 14 but hollow-eyed, tells you what the overseer will not. He speaks of symposiums, nights when philosophers, poets, and politicians gather to drink, debate, and then demand something more. At first you imagine symposiums as your village elders described them, noble men reclining, discussing war and justice, raising cups to wisdom. But Philemon's voice strips away the marble veneer. The wine flows, he says flatly. At first they talk of democracy, virtue, art idoi. Then they turn to us. We are bathed, oiled, dressed in thin tunics that reveal more than they hide. We serve grapes, pour wine, sing, dance, and then he stops, his eyes fixed on the floor. The silence tells you the rest. That night, as you lie on the straw mattress, you hear faint sounds filtering from above, a lyre strings, bursts of laughter, cups clinking. Somewhere in the house, free men praise the gods for their wisdom. Somewhere closer, Demetrius sharpens his cruelty like a blade. You understand now. Athens is not two cities, but one, the shining marble mask, and the shadowed mouth beneath it. And you have been swallowed whole. The summons comes with a snap of fingers. Demetrius pulls you from the cell, his grip a vice on your arm. They strip you, scrub you in cold water until your skin stings, then smear your body with oil so the lamps will catch the light on your muscles. A tunic of gauzy linen clings to you, more a suggestion of clothing than protection. Jewelry is clasped on your wrists and neck, not as honor but as ornament, a signal to the guests that you are part of the evening's entertainment. The symposium chamber glows with torchlight. Couches line the walls, where men recline with cups of wine in hand. The air hums with talk of philosophy, whether virtue can be taught, whether justice is innate, whether the gods care for mortals. Their words seem lofty, but their eyes linger on you and the others in the room. You move silently, filling cups, arranging platters of roasted meats and honeyed figs, rehearsing obedience with every step. At first, the requests are small. Pour more wine here, massage a shoulder there, feed grapes to a guest who laughs when juice drips down his chin. But slowly, the tone shifts. A silence falls when you pass too close, conversations die mid-sentence, and you feel their attention settle like a weight. An older man beckons you to his couch. His voice is honeyed, almost kind. He asks where you are from, whether you miss your family, if you are treated well. His hand rests lightly on your shoulder as though he means comfort. But the hand slides lower, and when you flinch, his grip hardens. The others are watching, their eyes gleaming not with philosophy but with appetite. He pulls you closer. You struggle, whisper no, but the refusal dissolves in laughter. Hands pin you down, the tunic torn like paper. The lyre still plays, the wine still flows, and over it all is the sound of men's laughter, as if your terror were the punchline to their wit. That night, your childhood ends on a couch drenched with wine and shadows. When it is over, you are led back below, your body aching, your throat raw from screams that went unheard. You lie on straw staring at the ceiling, tracing cracks in the stone like maps that lead nowhere. Above you, voices still debate the nature of justice. Below, you have learned its true absence. You are not a guest at the symposium, not even a servant. You are a vessel to be emptied, a silence to be filled. In the dark, you understand the cruelest truth. The philosophers who praise freedom by day do not stumble in their hypocrisy by night. They know exactly what they do. And they do it anyway. The house teaches you quickly that pain is not random, it is organized, tiered, almost ritual. Demetrius explains it without words, through punishments and rewards. New slaves are the raw clay, broken first and hardest. The masters prefer it this way. Fresh bruises bring fresh compliance. The longer you survive, the more you learn to bend in the exact places they want you to bend. Marcus whispers in the darkness that he once tried to run. They caught him before dawn, dragged him back, and beat him so savagely that his body still carries the limp of failure. Alexios resisted a guest's demand, and for 3 days he was chained in the courtyard without food or water, left to blister under the sun. Everyone in the house was made to pass him, to see what defiance cost. Resistance, you learn, is not only punished, it is displayed, turned into theater. Yet the cruelty is never uniform. The masters wield unpredictability like a lash sharper than iron. Sometimes kindness flickers an extra crust of bread, a nod instead of a blow just enough to confuse the boundaries of hope. Then it is snatched away, and you are reminded that even gratitude can be weaponized. The overseers don't just break bodies, they fracture dignity until you begin to monitor yourself, fearing punishments that might not even come. The guests embody Athens' contradictions with terrifying ease. By day, they are the pillars of the polis, politicians drafting speeches on justice, merchants funding temples, philosophers lecturing on virtue. By night, they recline in Lysander's chamber, demanding amusements that leave scars hidden under tunics, but not under skin. One man, celebrated for his generosity to the poor, delights in beating boys bloody while quoting Homer. Another, known for his elegant verses about love, forces his cruelty into forms he calls education. Most chilling is the philosopher who pens treatises on ethics. He insists, between gulps of wine, that slaves belong to a different moral category, that cruelty is not vice, but the natural order. His words drip with logic, his hands with blood. You see now how easily an entire society can build itself upon two faces, the mask of marble, the mouth of shadow. Athens praises freedom from its speaker's platform, while silencing screams beneath its floors. The city's greatness rests on an economy of bodies like yours, consumed, replaced, forgotten. In this hierarchy, you find your place. At the bottom, fresh meat for appetites. Above you, the broken ones who obey without question. At the top, Demetrius, the survivor turned master, proving every day that cruelty is contagious. You wonder which fate will claim you first, to be destroyed or to become like him. Time becomes measured not in seasons, but in scars. Each symposium chips away at something inside you, until one night you realize the breaking has already happened. Where once you resisted, now you anticipate. You pour wine before a guest asks, kneel before he gestures, smile faintly when he demands it. The overseers notice. Demetrius nods approvingly, and privileges appear like crumbs on the floor. A thicker blanket, a warmer cell, better bread. To others, they look like rewards. To you, they feel like gravestones for the boy you once were. The mirror in the women's quarters once showed you your face, a child's face, framed by hair your mother used to braid with rough fingers. Now, when you catch your reflection in polished bronze, the eyes staring back seem older than their years. Hollow, cautious, practiced in invisibility. You remember laughter once rang from your mouth. Now it emerges only when commanded. Then, unexpectedly, something stirs. On a trip to the market you see him. A boy no older than 13, dark hair falling over frightened eyes. He reminds you so vividly of yourself that you stagger. He is inspected the way you once were, prodded, turned, evaluated like a mule. For a moment, you feel a sharp crack inside your chest, as though the ghost of your former self is reaching out from behind the walls you built to survive. Demetrius notices your stumble and hisses, "Stand straight." You obey, but the image of that boy lingers for days. At night, you dream again dreams you thought were gone. You see your mother grinding grain, your father laughing at some small joke, the valley where barley once grew before the drought. The memories ache, but they remind you that you were not always this hollow shell. Somewhere beneath obedience lies a person who once belonged to himself. For a moment, hope flickers, not the kind that promises freedom, but the fragile kind that insists your stolen life had meaning. You are not only what they made of you. You were a son, a brother, a boy who once chased goats up hillsides and shouted into the wind. That memory alone becomes a rebellion, a whisper of humanity in a house designed to erase it. But memory is dangerous. It makes your servitude sharper, your nights longer, your smiles more bitter. You learn to bury the spark deep, hidden even from yourself, because Demetrius is right. A straight back and an empty gaze are safer. And yet, no matter how hard you bury it, that boy in the marketplace haunts you, reminding you that you are not just a slave. You are a broken boy who remembers what it felt like to be whole. The symposium is quieter tonight, its guests older, their appetites cloaked beneath layers of words. You move silently, filling cups, while philosophers debate the nature of virtue. Can it be taught? Is justice born within or shaped by law? Their voices swell with certainty, the same certainty with which they once stripped you of name, home, and future. One man argues that slaves are born with lesser souls, fit only to serve. Another counters that environment shapes character, that even those bound in chains might flourish if given freedom. The irony stings. These men, who debate justice as if it were an abstract riddle, are the same who use your body as their pastime. They know the contradiction. They simply choose to ignore it. As their words wash over you, clarity sharpens like a blade. Cruelty here is not ignorance. It is deliberate. The men of Athens are not barbarians. They are educated monsters. Their philosophy does not restrain them. It arms them, gives them vocabulary to excuse the inexcusable. They can quote Homer while striking a child, argue the good life while destroying lives around them. And the city applauds them for wisdom. In the months that follow, you see the system's rhythm as though from outside. New slaves arrive with fresh terror in their eyes. The guests circle them like hounds scenting blood. Some resist and are broken quickly, like Marcus once was. Others surrender sooner, hollowing themselves out before the blows come. The cycle never falters. Arrival, breaking, compliance, disposal. You, once trembling on a couch, are now the example Demetrius parades before merchants' proof of what obedience can carve out of flesh and spirit. At night, you begin to feel yourself dissolving. Your posture has changed, shoulders hunched, eyes always lowered. Your speech is careful, flat, stripped of accent, as though the house has scoured your tongue. When guests touch you, you float above yourself, watching from a distance, observing your own body as though it belongs to someone else. Detachment becomes your shield. Yet each act of survival chisels away at what remains of you. And still, whispers of rebellion survive in small hidden ways. Slaves hum songs in languages forbidden by their masters. They carve tiny marks into stone, secret memorials to those already gone. They whisper names in the dark, refusing to let the dead vanish entirely. Memory becomes defiance. Humanity becomes contraband smuggled into the silence. But as the years bleed together, you know the truth. This city of marble and philosophy, of plays and democracy, rests on your silence. Athens is not noble despite its cruelty. It is noble because of it, because it has found a way to polish horror into something the world will later admire. And you, trapped inside its shining mask, understand that philosophy here is not the enemy of evil. It is its accomplice. The summons comes one morning without ceremony. Demetrius informs you that your usefulness has waned. You are 25, though you have stopped counting years. Your beauty has faded into scars, your body slowed by old injuries. The masters no longer compete for your service. You are now less profitable than the bread you eat. The solution is simple: you will be sold to the mines. Everyone knows what that means. The mines are where slaves go not to live, but to die slowly, lungs filled with dust, spines bent until they snap, lives measured in months. Demetrius delivers the sentence with no more emotion than one might give to disposing of broken pottery. Yet that night, Marcus presses something into your palm, a small shard of metal, sharpened to a point. His eyes tell you what his lips do not. This is a choice. A tool to break chains, to cut flesh, to end suffering. Freedom of a different kind. You weigh it in the darkness, and for a moment the possibilities flare. Escape, though unlikely. Revenge, swift but doomed. Or silence, by your own hand. But dawn finds you choosing differently. You hide the shard in the straw, leaving it for the next soul who might need it more. You will go to the mines with empty hands, but perhaps not with an empty story. The journey north winds through landscapes that stir faint memories, streams where you once caught fish, mountain passes where you chased goats, fields that smell of barley in spring. They are echoes of a life stolen, glimpses of the boy who died long before his body began to fail. You do not try to run. The guards know their work too well. Instead, you let the road carry you toward the end. The mines are a circle of hell carved into earth. Tunnels groan with every strike of pick and hammer. Dust clogs your throat until each breath feels like swallowing stone. Collapses claim dozens at a time, and overseers barely glance before sending others into the rubble. Yet here, at the edge of death, something remarkable endures. The slaves build a fragile society among themselves. They share crusts of bread, prop one another up when bodies fail, whisper names of children and villages, so the past is not erased. Stories flow like hidden rivers, carrying memory from tongue to tongue. You too are remembered. The boy from the valley, the youth broken in a house of marble, the man who chose to pass on hope, rather than claim it only for himself. Your body gives out one night after a tunnel collapse. Breath rattles from your chest and darkness gathers, but you are not alone. Voices promise to carry your name, to weave your pain into their songs. You die not with silence but with memory. Yet your story does not end here. It echoes forward into centuries that will praise Athens for its art, its democracy, its philosophy, while ignoring the broken bodies that built them. And into our own time, where children still vanish into systems of labor and exploitation dressed in modern clothes. We too polish our cruelty into civility. We too call it progress. The marble halls still gleam, the mosaics still shine, but beneath them, the same cries linger. Time has not erased the pattern. It has only given it new faces. The boy in the mines becomes every nameless victim whose suffering fuels the triumphs others celebrate. His voice, carried through stories, still asks us the only question that matters: will we continue to look away, or will we finally listen?